fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
The one word, yes, one simple word that if you practice this in your life, I truly believe that it can help you live longer. Hey everybody, Joe Simons, like diamonds, back again, Salt Strong Unchurched. This is going to be a fun one. It's something that just happened to us recently. Got a couple stories to back this up. Clearly, there's no guarantee you're going to live longer, but I truly believe that if you practice this one word I'm going to talk about, and it really hit me hard here recently, and even hit me hard at my grandfather's funeral, that I really believe that it can help you have a little bit more longevity, a little bit more happiness in life, and a whole lot less stress and anxiety. So here we go. The first story is what I'm doing right now. I'm sitting in our brand new house. The house is not new at all. It's actually 50 years old. It was built in 1970, but it's brand new to us. My wife and I have been renting for quite some time. And, we kept talking about, this market's going to crash and we're going to get a steal of a deal. And by the way, that was like 4 years ago we were saying that, and we're still having that same conversation. And we finally said, you know what, this thing doesn't seem to be calming down anytime soon. And even if it does, let's find a great property we can grow into and not have to worry about, the real estate market going up or down or fluctuating. Is something that we can really just create a ton of memories with our kids on. And so we found this beautiful property, old house, needs a lot of updates. I mean, I'm talking like nothing's been updated since 80s. And just imagine like pink and fuchsias and crazy wallpaper colors, tons of wallpaper. I've never seen so much wallpaper in my life. But the view and the landscaping and really just the foundation of the house is amazing. And the couple there before us have been there for 30 plus years and really have just done a pristine job with it. We fell in love with it the second we came there. And, so the first time, well, actually the very first time I was looking at it on Zillow, and then we kind of stalk it and drive by it real slow and act like, maybe we like this house. And, then we dream about it, and we finally met with an agent to go see it. And it was way out of our price range. And good news is it was not in a bidding war though, like all these other houses, because it needed so much work, and it's definitely a lot of love is going to have to go back in this house to kind of get it where it needs to be in terms of being updated. I mean, the appliances, no lie, the appliances in this house are from the 80s. Even the refrigerator, it's got one of those. I guess it's a little like a metal plate that actually is a Sub-Zero fridge. So it's at the time, maybe they're still expensive, like $14,000 to replace this fridge, which we're not going to do, by the way. But on that Sub-Zero fridge, it shows the date that it was installed, February of 1988, and the sucker's still working. It barely, like the freezer's conked out, but the fridge part is actually still working. I'm like shocked. So, anyhow, we look at the house on Zillow, we see it with an agent, and the next time Lauren, my wife, and I were like, you know what, I'd really like to meet the owners and just hear like all the, really kind of the history of this house, because it's a very special house, very special property. And hear about what they've done, what they haven't done, what they love, and they were just super sweet, super nice. We knew it was an older couple, and they'd been here for 30 plus years, and we kind of knew they'd be excited about seeing someone younger come in here and kind of continuing on their legacy. I mean, a couple of their grandkids got married here on this property. It's absolutely beautiful with the landscape and everything, and the oak trees and the stuff that they've done, and so it was interesting. I get to meet the older man. And super nice guy. And Lauren was kind of more inside looking at all the kitchen and some of the bathroom stuff and all that with his wife. And I'm watching this older man like go around and show me everything from the sprinkler system to the little dock out there. And I mean, we're walking around like quite a bit, and he's got like some serious pep in his step, as old Zig Ziglar would say. I mean, he had some legit pep in his step for an older man. And so I'm kind of looking at him, and later in the car, I was like, telling Laura, I was like, how old do you think that guy was? And, she didn't really get to hang out with him, but she saw him and she's like, definitely, 72, 74. And I was like, yeah, I've thought, maybe mid 70s, just because I knew their age based on how long they've been there. It had to be a little bit older. And it turns out he's 84 years old, 84. And he looked like he was 70. and had certainly energy of probably someone in their 60s. And I thought that was very, very cool. So here's the wild part. So on the very front side of this house, where the driveway is, where you come in, there's a white wall. And on the wall was, I'm talking like 12 feet long, 10 to 12 feet long. This is not small, some lettering. And I missed it the first couple times, even some of the drive-bys. I completely missed it because I was so focused on like looking at the house and looking at all the other stuff, and I missed it. And there's one word on there that kind of summarizes their life, and even just how you feel when you come down this driveway and how you feel when you're on this property. And that one word was tranquility. And I asked him about that, and he's like, yeah, that's just, kind of part of what we have here. I mean, it's tranquil. It calms you down. You kind of forget about all the craziness and the bad stuff as soon as you come down that driveway, and as soon as you start seeing the landscaping and the beautiful flowers and trees and oak trees and this canopy, it's like tranquil. And I was like, well, gosh, this guy's been practicing that for 30 years, and he looks, like he's shaved off 20 years of his life. And it hit me just how important that word is. And the craziest part is, if you guys have been listening to the podcast, quite a few podcasts ago, before I even knew about all this other stuff, I talked about one of the words that I wanted to use because I copied it from Ben Franklin from, 200 something years ago, was tranquility, to have more tranquility in my life. So that was something that Benjamin Franklin said to be basically the perfect human being. He was trying to go for, trying to basically perfection, which he knew was impossible, but he wanted to make the best version of himself. And one of the 13 things that he wanted to focus on was tranquility. I still have not made it to that week yet, as I'm constantly failing through the other ones. But tranquility, I thought how cool. And then it took me to my grandfather's funeral, and a very emotional day. It was my last grandparent alive, and he made it to right up to his 94th birthday. And what was interesting is, out of all, I had 4 grandparents, so I got to, meet and hang out with all 4 of them. The first 2 of them passed away from cancer. Actually, all 3 of them did. And then my grandfather just kind of kept kicking, and going. And it was just like, he was kind of like this older man here at the house, like the Energizer Bunny. And he was playing bridge every week, and, having fun, and still traveling. And even though he'd lost his wife, my grandmother, gosh, 20 years prior. And so he was just kind of enjoying the single life as a 70-year-old and 80-year-old in his 90s. And what was interesting looking at his life, he was the most tranquil man ever. I never, ever saw him like lose his cool. I never saw him yell at us. I never saw him get stressed out. Very, very important. I never saw him like deal with anxiety or worry. He was just always the most cool and calm and collected person ever. Whereas my grandmother, his wife, I saw her lose it quite a bit. I remember, Daytona Beach, they're the ones that had that beach house I've talked about in the past. That's where we grew up every summer, and Daytona fishing and hanging down there. And, she would get stressed out about a lot of stuff, and was just kind of always a stress ball. And unfortunately, we lost her, very early. But it's interesting to look back now as an adult and see how other adults at the time I was a kid were acting around me. And I'm not here to say that, if you're a stress ball, you're going to die early. Although there is some science that says, the chances are increased that you might have, a stroke, heart attack. A lot of different things can happen if you're just full of anxiety and full of stress and always just completely wound up. And at my grandfather's funeral, we all kind of went around and spoke, and my Uncle Kenny, he said this one thing, and it's always stuck with me. And it's not, he didn't create this. It's something that's been around for a long time. But, he says, his name was Richard, and then we all called him Dick. And he said, Dick, he just never sweated the small stuff, and everything's the small stuff. And I was like, wow, so true. Don't sweat the small stuff. We all hear that. And in reality, everything's small stuff when you really think about it. And that's something that I struggle with big time with the anxiety attacks. And heck, it was killing me. I mean, it sent me to the doctor's office multiple times because I was so anxious about something that didn't even exist. And I hope I didn't take some years off of my life. I wouldn't be surprised if I did. I know I'm healing now and in a whole lot, different and better place. But it's like, gosh, now I see people, including some friends and family and people that I really care for, get so wound up and they get so stressed and like just so bent out of shape over pretty small stuff that probably won't matter the next day, certainly won't matter a month from now, and probably wouldn't even be something that was on the radar you could even remember a year, and especially not 5 years from now. And my grandfather and this man who sold us the house, they seem to really be just exemplify that, to be just like walking billboards of tranquility. I mean, to the point, this couple literally put a 10-foot tranquility sign on the front, right where you have to drive in, right? And once again, I can't believe I didn't see it the first couple of times. And I asked Laura, I was like, hey, did you see that tranquility? She's like, I didn't even see it. And we both looked at it like, oh my gosh, how did we miss this thing? It's really cool. It's in cursive. And it's going to be one of kind of my mantras. And now every time I come in, I kind of stare at that and take a deep breath and just kind of let all these small things out. And I'm telling you this because I do see so many people, some that I see and interact with face to face, some just the way they handle themselves on social media, some the way that people send us emails freaking out about the smallest stuff ever in the big scheme of things. And I really believe if we all practice tranquility, maybe that's your word for this week, or maybe even just today, just one day, because a week is a long time, as I'm finding out with this Ben Franklin thing, but even just one day, just be laser focused on tranquility, to be slowly breathing, to slow to react, slow to get mad, and just to not let anything bother you. And like my grandfather, like my Uncle Kenny said, don't sweat the small stuff. And guess what? It's all small stuff. And it's really, really interesting looking back at my grandfather's life. That was when it really hit me, because it was someone I was very close with. And that dude just didn't let anything get to him. He was never bothered by anything. And I'm hoping I can, be similar. That doesn't mean you can't get emotional and you can't cry and you can't have suffering and pain and feelings. That just means don't get stressed out and bent out of the shape to the point that you're losing sleep and losing hair and gaining weight and drinking and smoking and all the other stuff that happens when you just get overly anxious. Ask me how I know, because that's what I did. I turned a lot to alcohol myself. And gosh, I mean, just looking back, how dumb that was and how much that was taking a toll on my body, just with all that anxiety. So if you're struggling with that, please go back, and I'll make sure to put some in the show notes. Listen to my podcast about anxiety and how, I dealt with that for 14 years. I'm talking about like debilitating anxiety attacks where I missed one of my best friend's weddings because of it. I just couldn't go. I was literally, in my head, I was sick to the point I had just full on panic attacks and couldn't make his wedding. And I missed out on so many opportunities, so many things. And I truly believe that, had I kept going down that path of just being filled with anxiety and suffering from anxiety attacks the rest of my life, it probably would have been a shorter life. And so it's a big thing I want to practice. I really do believe it could lead to a little bit more longevity, and no guarantees in life, as you know. God's in control. We unfortunately do not get to pick and choose when that day happens, but I'm going to do everything I can to be the best version of myself, and also to practice tranquility, which ties in with being a great version of yourself, to not let all the small stuff that our Heavenly Father's looking down sometimes at us like, come on, Joe, why are you getting stressed about this? I got this, dude. Don't be stressed. Don't sweat the small stuff. Guys, I love you. I hope this was helpful. I hope this reached the right person. I just felt called to do it sitting here in the new home, and it just hit me how important it is, and very ironic that I happen to write this down. This was before, we just closed in this house. We just moved in last weekend, and it's really wild how, tranquility here has made a pretty apparent appearance in my life quite a few times here in a really short amount of time. So it is going to be something that's going to be the top of my mind. I urge you to put it at the top of yours, and to practice peace, love, and tranquility. If this hit home for you, I'd love to hear from you. My private email that no one else will see, joe@saltstrong.com. That's JOE@saltstrong.com. I also put all of these podcasts on saltstrong.com. It's saltstrong.com/unchurched, where you can go see all the past Unchurched episodes. I think we're up to like 80. You guys probably know more than I do, 85, 84. Really, really cool. I've thoroughly been enjoying these, and it's made me a better person. Don't you think for a second these are just for you. I'm doing these for me as well. It's something that I need accountability. I need some kind of, coaching, and I need, things that I'm constantly thinking about every week to better myself. So I really thoroughly enjoy these, and it's definitely been something that's helped my own life out. So I'd love to hear from you in terms of any topics, any discussion points, anytime I'm completely dead wrong, which has happened a couple times. Anything that you want to hear, I'd love to hear from you, joe@saltstrong.com. Otherwise, go to saltstrong.com/unchurched and check out all the past episodes. I'll talk to you on the next one.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul. It